What's up, nerds? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the summer day box. These are some of the top baits for summer, baits that we would highly recommend you are throwing if you want to catch some dang hogs this sunny season. So we've got a ton of options in here that we want to talk to you about, and we want to know what your favorites are. So hit us up in the comments below. What are you throwing right now? What are your top favorite summer baits of all time? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Now, this is going to be my day box. Obviously, our opinions may be different, but these are baits that I know I can catch fish on right now. And I hope that you try some out and that you catch some fish too. So let's get into it. Now, Paul's not here, but if you guys know us, if you've seen any of our videos together, if you've watched the podcast, you know that we pack pretty much all the same things. So I'm sure that I'm very close to where he's at in terms of his baits. So what do we got? Well, there's a heck ton of topwater, and then there's basically every other part of the water column in here. You know I like to diversify and make sure that I can cover the full spectrum of water where these fish might be. Whether they're eating on top, they're suspending off a ledge, or they're just sitting on the bottom being lazy, doing nothing, trying to cool off on the super hot dog days of summer, we've got a way to catch them in here. Now I will sneak in a bit of terminal, but I'm not using all of this for today. I just want to show you one piece of terminal that I'll definitely be using, and I'm sure you can guess it, so let's just start with that. Texas rig. Throw some Texas rig. You're gonna catch a ton of fish that way. My preference this time of year, be throwing some big old worms, all right? In this case, we wanna grab an offset worm hook in the appropriate size for whatever plastics that you're gonna flip around and find out with, and a worm weight. So, pick your choice, pick your poison. Depends on the current, depends on the wind, depends on a lot of things, but grab a weight, grab a hook. Now, what we like to do is flip around a big old worm in maybe 1 or 2 or 3 different colors just to see what's working for the day. Again, depending on the conditions and the water clarity. So, on those clear water days, I wanna be different. I wanna throw something really fun. I'm gonna grab something like this Grande Bass Airtail Wiggler in Morning Dawn. Now, these things are juicy, got a little pliability to them. They're gonna hold up pretty darn well. And that Morning Dawn, we just find that color works amazing in more of the clear to slightly stained water conditions. We've had a blast with it. But if I need to go more natural, I might grab something like our KVD finesse worms here. And in this case, this color is dirt, but it's super natural. You get the brown and the green pumpkin. Can't get much more natural than that. Nice thing about these finesse worms as well, at least the ones that I'm showing you today, is they'll typically have like an air pocket here in that tail. So that's gonna give you some different motion. On the drop, that should be falling a bit slower. It's gonna have a lot more movement in the water. It can be the thing that stands out. And by the way, as far as the size of these worms going, we're looking at all like 6 to 8 inches. And there would be the bigger ones. So these are the Yum Magnum Finesse worms. I usually pick these up for bed fishing, but it's something that I carry over into the summer as well. So you get a bit girthier here in this sort of like grass candy sprayed grass. What do they call this? This color is called Elder's Magic, and what it gives you is tons of purples and greens. Look at that, my gosh. So you might throw something like bass candy, sprayed grass, sprayed lettuce, depends on the brand, right? And it is just that, it is just candy for bass. I don't know what it is, but they are highly attracted to this. Definitely reminiscent of like bluegill colors, but really cool worm, absolutely catches fish. So, first bait, it's technically not in the day box, Texas rig, which is an easy thing. Just get some terminal and some worms. There you go. All right, let's get into what's actually in this box though. So I'm gonna start with that topwater, of course. What I like to do in the summer is I'll take, this is a Buzbe Colony 28, by the way, it's 3,700 size box with interchangeable cubes. What I like to do is grab just a frog cube right there. And this is assuming, of course, as a day box, this could be the only box I bring on the water. So if you wanna run slim and trim in your kayak, or you're going to hit the bank and you got a small backpack, this might be the way to go. So I'm gonna grab some of my favorite frogs and we're gonna go hit the water with these. Right off the top, if you guys don't fish scum frog, you definitely need to go check these out. Highly affordable, high hookup ratios. Look at the hook angle right there. That's what we're talking about. Makes it a lot easier for you to hook up into some fish. Generally, it will come with like a split ring or something. You can pop that off. We find it, you get better walking action without it. And then you got your skirt, fully adjustable off the back, coming out both sides, and a nice little plug as well. And a nice little balance weight here. So these things walk really well. They get through the trash really well, and they're super affordable, so I'm not as worried about casting them around. So I'll generally have like some darker frogs, some lighter frogs, and some like bait fish profile frogs. Next one I'd recommend for you guys, just because it's super plush, again, super affordable, and comes in a bunch of different sizes. This is the Fish Lab frog. So you can go check out Fish Lab yourself or click our link in the description below. You can trim these skirts however you want. Nice skirt material though that's gonna hold up and floats really well on top of the water. These also add a different element. They have a rattle. So if you wanna do something a bit different, I would go ahead and try one of these. I might bend those hooks out a little bit. Just a recommendation if you wanna have a better hookup ratio, but these are great little frogs. Or big frogs, because they come in a massive size too. Another absolute classic, a little bit on the pricier end, would be the Spro Bronze Eye frog. But this is hands down one of the most reliable frogs in the history of frogs. You're gonna be extremely happy with it. It's made our top list multiple times. It is one that we're always reaching for. Again, a little bit on the higher end, but extremely well made. Holds up without a doubt, hyper plush, good hookup ratio, great frog. Another great frog from a brand that we never talk about because we're never happy with them. Lunker Hunt. This is the Kraken frog. Really affordable, trimmable legs there. Paul put a ton of time in on the water with this when he fished Mille Lacs for a monster bass trip. It did come in a monster bass box this year. That's where this specific one came in, but I've got it in a few different colors. And it's a wide body frog with these arms sticking out, meaning that it's really well balanced. It walks really well. It's one of the plushiest frogs I've ever seen, and it's got a pretty darn good hookup ratio. So great frog. So here we go. We got some naturals. We got some light colors / light dark colors with the Spro Bronze Eye, and some dark color options. Gives you 4 good frogs. Let's throw one more in the mix because they'll all fit into this cube so nicely. Here's a Poppin' Frog variation. This is the Strike King KVD Poppin' Perch. Gives you a different profile for your frog. This like nice long flat wide setup skirt is very interesting. Tipped with a bright color there. Obviously comes in a bunch of different color variations as well. And just looks like kind of a dying perch up on top, or a dying fish of any profile, since you can get it in all different colors. I mean, really cool frog. Staying on top, let's go to the next cube section. We've got one of the long cube designs for those bigger topwater baits. Now, these are my go-tos all summer long. You can get them in different colors. Obviously, these are just ones that I would recommend. Number 1, this thing right here. Number 1 is the Arc TB115. I don't know what it is about this bait. Look at all the rash around this thing. This thing has caught an insane amount of fish for me. This is one that I got in a monster bass box forever ago and have fished ever since. That doesn't happen that often. I'll get baits from the box, I'll fish it for a while, want to try something else, give up on it, whatever. This one I've never given up on. Look at the tooth marks up there. It's caught pike, it's caught a ton of bass. It's just a really well-balanced topwater walking and, see the scoop mount there? A little bit of a popping, spitting type bait. In the bluegill profile, it comes in a whole bunch of different colorways, of course. You can try different stuff. Had a lot of luck, though, on this bluegill setup. So that's generally like my go-to topwater walking bait. For a prop style bait, I'm going for this baby right here. I think we all know this one. So this is the River to Sea Whopper Plopper, specifically in loon, or if I want to vary it up, I'll grab like the sexy shad color as well. And that gives you 2 opposing colorways for topwater that works really, really well. These things are extremely well made. They hold up forever and they just gosh dang catch fish. The last one in that topwater cube has fully surprised me and taken over my entire life. This is the Z-Man Hellraiser. It is an insane bait that's hard to describe, but essentially if you're at a full retrieve on this thing, it's a topwater chattering waking bait. It's kind of like running back to you like this on top. It can also go slightly subsurface, but it shoots back to the top right away. So again, well balanced, it's hefty. You can cast this thing a freaking mile away and it makes a lot of noise. It literally raises hell. Surprise, surprise. The other surprise I had though, after looking at this and going, what the friggin' heck? This has no business catching fish, this beaker looking weirdo from the Muppets. Like, this absolutely catches fish. It's insane how well it catches fish. And now it lives in my day box all summer. The other reason is we really like toothy critters, and that's absolutely a pike smasher. All right, I lied about topwater. There's another box that's extremely important when it comes to topwater. You gotta have poppers. So I like to have them in a couple different sizes and colorways. So let's take a look at these. I got 4 in here, 2 of which are brand new, and they're coming up in another video. We'll do a showdown with them. But the first one is a big popper. Get something gigantic. Anything that's, you know, ½ ounce plus. Something like this Poppy McPop face from 13 Fishing. This thing will splash like nobody's business. Look how deep that scooped mouth goes. It's insanity. So spits tons of water, easy to walk, lots of action, decently tied treble off the rear, very affordable bait, comes in a million different colors from 13 Fishing. Another fantastic option that's also affordable, the Strike King KVD poppers. These things are great. Comes in a bunch of different colors. So in this case, I had that like super natural Poppy McPop face to look like a dying bluegill on the surface. Now we got the sexy shad, something with a brighter profile. Fantastic, caught a ton of fish on that. It's also a bit smaller. Another great option I don't have in this box that I would recommend would be like the Rebel Pop R. Then if we want to change it up, we're going to a little slim profile popper here in black. This is a Yozuri, and these things are freaking cool. Like, Yozuri surprises me all the time, putting out great baits. This is an awesome bait, and it will be going head to head as the cheap option of poppers, because it was fairly inexpensive, to this expensive popper in a future video. Look at this guy right here. This thing is absurd. So this is the Mega Bass Pop X. This is a $17.99 popper, keep that in mind, but it is a fantastic popper, one that has been unanimously loved by everyone in our chat. Anytime we've done a shopping vid, we've said, hey, what baits do you recommend that you guys want it? Or we reach out and we say, hey chat, what baits do you want us to fish? This bait always came up. So here we go. We got this in a really cool perch color, and I'm excited to fish it. Have not put this on the water yet. However, it's a Mega Bass and I already know that it's gonna work well, so highly recommended. From here, I gotta recommend Chatterbaits, you guys. Anytime I'm getting some wind or some rain in the summer, I'm grabbing these or I'm grabbing Spinnerbaits, and I've got both of these in the box right now. It's a year-round bait for us. Spinnerbaits and Chatterbaits, we're using them both all year round. In the summer, surprise myself with some of the giant catches we can get on these. So we got 4 different models that you guys could try out with these if you're not already using them. Number 1, extremely affordable, the Cross Eyes Chatterbait. You get a little bit of a weed guard on these. Get that original Chatterbait blade. Comes in a bunch of different colors. In this case, we got green pumpkin blue, which is one of my favorite combos. Get your weird little cross eyes there. Throw on any trailer that you want. In this case, we got a Kitech paddle tail, but mix it up however you please. Another option from Z-Man, we got the Big Blade Chatterbait. Now, the Big Blade is awesome if you really want to cause a ruckus. In this case, we got their super fresh bluegill pattern, and we've paired that up with a Yamamoto Zaco trailer, in this case, green pumpkin white. So this is a nice natural pattern. It's gonna cause a huge ruckus under the surface. Really great chatterbait, highly recommended. My all-time favorite chatterbait forever is the Z-Man Jackhammer. They are expensive. Sometimes you can get them on sale. Sometimes you can find them at bargain places like Ollie's, and you might get lucky. Most of the time, you're gonna spend the money on these things. Most reliable chatterbait, hands down. It is always performing the way it's supposed to. You've got premium tied skirts on these things. They hold up really well. And as long as you don't cast it off, like I've done many, many times, somehow, magically, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be happy. As you can see, this is one of my favorite trailers, the Yamamoto Zaco. Like, these things are fantastic. I love that, like, vertical tail instead of the full-size paddle tail for chatterbaits. You can get it to run a little bit deeper more easily with that. One that I guess I can't exclude from the list, have caught quite a few on these now, the Berkley Slobber Knocker. Again, bunch of different colors. I love a chartreuse in white pretty much all year round, but it's great in the summer for sure. Sticking with Berkley, just to see if it goes hand in hand, throw on the Powerbait Power Stinger as a trailer. Both come in a ton of different colors, so you can find different ways to mix and match and contrast with that bladed jig. And since we brought up spinnerbaits, you might as well take a look at this cube. Spinnerbaits. Again, anytime I've got wind, I've got a change in the weather, I'm throwing these things. And also, if I just want to use them as a search bait, they work all year. Off the top, extremely affordable, the Z-Man sling blades, coming in at around $7.99 generally. You can throw a stinger hook off the back if you want, otherwise you don't need that, and you can also throw trailers on here. Just well made, very affordable, love those. Now again, this is a category of baits that I want to have a couple different colors in, and because I have this cube to store them in, I can store about 10 to 12 in here. I don't bring 10 to 12, but if you wanted to, you could bring every color you wanted and every type of spinnerbait you wanted. But let's just look at a couple different variations. So from that white chartreuse, go to a natural pattern. I love this bluegill color of the sling blades from Z-Man. I think it's fantastic. Probably one of the most fish catchingest spinnerbaits I've ever owned. Caught probably the majority of my spinnerbait catches have probably been on that spinnerbait right there. Another great option that I just picked up and have started fishing with and catching some fish on would be this power bait from Berkley. These things are awesome, well made, got a really big section here so you can, rig your trailer up a little further back and not really have that need for the stinger hook. You can see how far back that hook reaches. Really cool, well made, and you get that power bait skirt too. If I want to be the flashiest in town, something I love to throw would be this Booyah multi-bladed spinner. So we get 4 different blades, different sizes, alternating colors. Puts off a ton of flash. So on those sunny days when I really want to stand out, this is one of my favorite go-to options. And the Booyahs are really affordable too. Something that's not as affordable, but is great in the dark water, nasty, muddy situations would be this Mollix spinnerbait right here. Mollix just makes some really cool stuff. Typically on the pricier side. Check this out, that flat side to it. You got the orange blade in back, and these are the hammered blades. Really cool. Awesome bait, will hold up, will catch fish. Something I am definitely reserving for those dirty water situations. And speaking of dirty water situations or night fishing, or in general, just being loud, grab something like this Strike King Tour Grade Colorado blade. Look at that blade. Huge. So great option if you got to be, again, noisy, and as the water temps drop, this will work in that colder weather as well. But if I want to control the speed of the spinner blade, Colorado blades are really easy to slow down because of this big old thumping blade right there. So I can run this slower than I can run something especially like this. This is like a burning bait right here. So that's a great alternative option as well. And again, it's coming from Strike King. You got faith in it. Still going in the same 3,700 size box here, guys. I got 2 swim baits. One's actually a glide and then one's a hybrid swim bait, Crank. So something different that I can throw around. These are amazing around docks, you guys. We got that hot weather. I'm up on docks and I want to get those lazy fish out from the shade. One of the best ways you can do it is with a glide bait. Now, the River to Sea S Waver is a fantastic option. You can get the smaller size, you're gonna have a blast with it. Obviously, you can catch on the bigger size. That's more for like big drawing power for bigger fish. If I'm talking about the situation I'm talking about in the summer, I love a small size glide bait. Something like this little Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete does everything. Comes in a bunch of different colors, but you can get a nice wide action with this type of glide bait. It's easy to learn as well, like this size, this setup right here, this specific model if you want. Go check this out. If you've never thrown a swim bait or a glide bait before, just take this to your heavier setup and get used to it. This is one where you can just control your retrieve and get used to that rhythm, and you'll get the gliding action you're looking for. You don't really have to use much of your rod at all. This will just get it done for you. And I love this bone color. It's just something great as far as like colorway options. It's gonna work in most conditions. But come up on a dock, parallel the dock, slow retrieve that thing back, get the cadence down, get that thing kind of sweeping in that back and forth action, and you're gonna draw those fish out. But another great option if we're starting to move towards like cranks, which is the last couple of baits that I have here for you guys, is you can get something like this hybrid swim bait crank from Fish Lab. Very interesting. It does actually dive down and you get the swim bait action. In the summer, great option. I can burn these things around docks. I can burn them around cover. You're gonna draw those fish out. All around, fantastic bait. Something that can, again, with that speed, with that natural action, draw some reaction bites. Okay, this is it. Last 2 cubes, and we've got all body baits, all cranks. Boom, wake baits. This is your time. Start throwing some topwater disruption around as much as you can. Try to have a couple different sizes and colors if you can do that. On my left here, we've got the Yozuri wake bait, and on my right here, we have the Strike King KVD wake bait, different size. So one, very loud, one not so loud, right? A little subtle thud to that little guy, but this citrus shad color, that little blue and chartreuse and orange, fantastic on top. It's kind of a smaller size wake bait, so it won't be that intimidating to those fish. They'll definitely come up and smack that baby. Wake baits love to run around cover, any cover you can find. If you got shallow weeds, if you've got, you know, rocks, timber, riprap, whatever, anything you can find, run this around those. Especially fallen trees. It's one of my favorite things because it's a wake bait. It's not going to be diving down there. You're pretty safe from getting snagged up, and if you do snag, it's a surface bait, so you can probably go up and grab it. As long as it's not way off the bank and you're bank fishing, but generally you can get these things back. This is that oyster color from Strike King, really cool colorway, and just a nice, loud, disruptive bait. If I want to dive a little bit or have some more erratic action, even more than a wake bait, grab one of these L-shaped lips. This is the Hybrid Hunter Jr. from Strike King. Again, typically going with like these mid to smaller size baits. We just find here in Michigan that we tend to catch better on these. Not to say that you can on the full size versions, it's just what we catch more on is this size. But we got that and sort of this white color, which is really cool. Again, you want to have those alternating contrasts, maybe a couple darker options, a couple lighter options that may help you get more fish in the boat that day. There you go. Really fun little bait to throw around. If you guys haven't used that type of bait before, go check out some videos. It does behave totally different from your wake bait, and just a great variation of body bait that you guys can throw, especially if you have never tried them before. And with my last 2 baits that I'd recommend, 1, a gigantic square bill, and 2, deeper diving crankbaits, especially in colors like this sunfish pattern from Berkeley. So first up, we got this splatterback chartreuse color from Strike King. This is their Magnum Square Bill, Magnum SB. It is silent, mainly because this big fat bill and gigantic body in bright colors is gonna do enough standing out for you. So this thing right here, run it like a square bill, run it into and around as much cover as you can find. In shallower fishing conditions, this one will get you down about 4 to 6 feet, but big square bills, especially on the river, and if you can come up to a dam, you're gonna get bites on that. And if the fish are pushing deeper, you start getting into those dog days of summer, you're looking for that cooler water. They're not in the shade up shallow, they might be out off the drops a little bit deeper, throw your deep diving cranks. And in this case, I'm running mostly 8 to 12 foot divers. We're gonna run into those suspending fish, and if I need to go deeper, probably not like this giant boy deep, but if I need to go deeper, I can go beyond 15, 20 feet. Just not a comfort zone for us, so you know what that means. We're the aggressively average anglers, we're gonna have to learn it. But here we go. So this is the Berkeley Digger series, one of my favorite all-time crankbaits. These things are fantastic. This is the 8.5 foot diver, and it comes in this like sunfish pattern. Really cool. You can tell I've had it for a while because of the hook rash there. I have caught, oh my gosh, I need a new one. Great option, especially on those tougher days. Oh my gosh, I've been talking for 3 years. And I forgot my absolute all-time favorite thing of ever. What is wrong with me? There's 2 baits that were sitting on top of this box. You know why? Because they don't fit into your typical tackle boxes. I generally just have these on the deck of the boat or in like my in-hull storage where I can just go grab them, or they're already tied on. We can't have summer without Buzzbaits. Are you kidding me? So I got two different options here, two of my favorite setups to throw right now. We'll start with this one right here. No skirt. This is the Strike King Skippin' Buzz. And if you guys have never skipped a buzzbait, it's one of the most fun things you can do on the water. Highly recommended. If you can huck this up, don't hit your neighbor's pontoons, but get underneath the pontoons. Or if you can get under the docks, under trees, all sorts of stuff. There are fish in that area. They are under that cover. This is a great way to do this. This is nice because you have this extra little safety wire here that prevents the wires from opening up either on catches or on like a rough skip, right? And generally, I'll pair this up with the goat or the goat toads. And in this case, we got the Z-Man goat toads on here. You get these awesome kicky legs off the back. This is, yes, a copper truce color. Generally, I'm throwing like this, a white or a black, and you're gonna get some catches. Buzzbaits are phenomenal in the summer. Don't sleep on them. They make a crazy amount of ruckus and a very unique sound that definitely has some fish drawing power. Now, if I wanna go with a darker profile, buzzbait-wise, I'd either be using something like this, a white chartreuse, which is actually tied up on one of my rigs upstairs, or I'd be throwing a black color like this. Cool thing about this one, this is the Mega Strike Cavatron. It's like one of the cheaper buzzbaits you can get. Very affordable, has these really cool like holes in there causing bubbles on the surface, which can be an interesting way to draw some fish in. Unique type of skirt to it. In this case, I got all black, so you're getting a different color profile. And I've paired this one up with a BFE from Big Bite Baits. So just gives me like this big honking paddle that's coming off the back. I didn't want to have like an extensive trailer. You can throw a paddle tail on there. You can throw any sort of plastic frog on there as well. Do all sorts of stuff. I even got like a ribbit here with some kicky feet. But there you go. So that's the culprit. It's also got a really nice bend to it, which helps it get up on plane. So I like going with these buzzbaits, by the way, around that like 3/8 ounce. And that allows me to do a lot more speed control with the buzz. And it allows me to put it into the slop. Normally, you got a heavier buzzbait, you put it up in the pads, you put it up in the slop, you're gonna get hung up every single time. With these lighter buzzbaits, if you bomb that cast out there and then you start retrieving before it hits the water, you're gonna burn right through that cover and you're not gonna get hung up as much. So just something that I've found has worked really well for me. And now we're done. Okay, so that is the summer day box. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. You're going out there, you wanna catch as many fish and have a ton of fun this summer. We know these baits will do you well. So let us know what you think in the comments. Did we miss any of your favorite baits? What are they? And what are you catching on right now? Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this, and we'll catch you on the next video.